Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I am proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So the Neverland Ranch has been reportedly sold for the price of $22 million, okay? So there's one of these things, I don't know all the history about who's the owners, exactly what's actually taking place right there, type of thing, right? So I saw this little video and it gave me some good little information, but it's like, this actually lets me know a lot more. Gives me a lot more questions. So I'm going to play you this. This is out of CBS out of Pittsburgh, because the guy that ends up buying Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch is named Ron Burkle, and it'll tell you here that he's the owner of the Penguins, she says, which would be the Pittsburgh Penguins, the hockey team. Okay, so let me play you here.
The co-owner of the Penguins, Ron Burkle, has purchased the Neverland Ranch.
Okay, so the co-owner of the Penguins. So that's what this guy now in the world, he owns a professional hockey team in America, the Pittsburgh Penguins, okay? So that's where he is now, because as it comes up here, he's going to say he was a former business advisor to Michael Jackson in the 2000s. So I would have to go back and see. It's hard to believe that he would have been owning the Penguins and then still had been a business advisor to Michael Jackson. So I'm going to assume that he was a business advisor to Michael Jackson before he became an owner of the Penguins, right? That just kind of makes sense, right? But now let's listen to this deal. Listen, a couple little technical things, what she says here really quick. That's why I like this little one here.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Burkle bought the property in California for $22 million. The asking price was once $100 million, so it's a steal. Burkle was a business advisor to Michael Jackson in the mid-2000s.
Okay, so Burkle was a business advisor to Michael Jackson in the mid-2000s, she said, okay? So that means basically Burkle's a business advisor of Michael Jackson's up close to the time where he passes away, okay? So that's what she just said.
Before Jackson defaulted on a loan that was backed by the ranch.
Okay, so he was the business advisor to Michael Jackson before Michael Jackson defaulted on a loan that was backed by the ranch. Okay, it's like, well, Michael Jackson passed away, and when he passed away, the loan that must have been out there that they're talking about there before he defaulted on the loan that was backed by a ranch. So when Michael Jackson would have passed away, he did not at that time he didn't default on that loan at that time. That's still the Neverland Ranch, from what I understand and seeing it was still technically, that was still going on. He still could have paid that loan off and got the ranch back. Okay, so that's how it works, right? He's taken out a loan that he's put up collateral. That's how it happens a lot of times when you take out loans. You got to have collateral that's worth the amount of the loan. Then, so if you want $10 million, the bank, they'll say, yeah, we'll give you $10 million, but you got to put up your house that's worth, like if Michael Jackson wanted $10 million, they'd give him $10 million, but they'd say, well, you got to put up the Neverland Ranch as collateral, depending on how much he was taking out, or, so whatever. They work out the deals, So then if you don't pay that money, those people come and collect on whatever that collateral is and then that's theirs, okay? So at some time, right, what they're saying here is that Ron Burkle was a business partner for Michael Jackson, and the way that they made it sound there is that he was involved in the deal. It sounds like he was a business partner when the ranch went into, when Michael had taken out a loan on it. I think that's kind of what they had said. Now, if that's true, then that guy, he would have known the original price, like the original loan that Michael Jackson took out. He would know that actual price. So he knows that the people that are the owners of the property, he knows what they're into it for. So if they're into it for $15 million, he knows okay, well, 22, they're in it, they get a good price, and we're all happy and stuff. So he knows how to give them the right price. So where he pays them just enough where they're all happy, they make enough, and he pays as low a dollar amount as he can to get it, because everybody just wants to move past things. They want to get their profit. So this is the thing though. The Jackson estate, when Michael Jackson dies, when Michael Jackson died, there was the big question about okay, are they going to turn Neverland Ranch into Elvis Presley Graceland, because his house is Graceland, but it's a museum place now. They turn it into a big thing and stuff, right? And his Graceland, I'm sure, I've never been there and stuff, but I'm sure it can't be as cool as Neverland Ranch what at the time Michael Jackson died, remember, Neverland Ranch is still intact. So if they would have kept that place intact, and then here was the thing is about burying Michael Jackson. But I know that the thing was Santa Barbara. There was rules and stuff. But we know, like, you look at Motown. Motown's a museum. That's they built it. It's in a neighborhood. Those are houses. He turned a house into a record studio. And now if you go there, it's a Motown museum. That's still like they have their stuff, but you go right the street. There's houses right there. And so people do that with things like I said, with the Graceland. They would have to overcome, I'm sure, some kind of city ordinance and whatever it is. Like, because I think that they're buried there. I think Elvis is buried there at Graceland and stuff. They probably had those same kind of rules and stuff. So I know that was one of the rules originally that they were saying originally. But see, this is one of the things. Like, remember Jermaine Jackson. He was saying, well, Santa Barbara's got this rule about burying people on properties that you can't do that. But now what it's got me understanding from that this has taken place, it's got me understanding that when Michael Jackson died, the Jackson estate would have had a bill that they had to pay if they wanted to get back the ownership of the Neverland Ranch. Okay, because now the Neverland Ranch is in hawk. They've hawked it off. They put it in. They've pawned it off to somebody. It's in debt. So it's not technically, they have to pay now money to get it back. It's not like it's theirs. They have to pay money to get it back, and then it's theirs. So what would happen at that point, that the Jackson estate, and the Jackson estate is the way the estate is that they're like saying, their job is to not spend money. Their job is to make money, and it's not their job to like spend money. So it's like, first of all, it's like, okay, well, if they would have said, okay, $10 million to get it back. So the Jackson estate, in their minds, they're thinking, we don't want to pay $10 million to get back a piece of property that's going to cost us a minimum of $1 million to maintain every year, a minimum. I mean, it's probably more like the property tax on that place is probably $1 million, actually. The property tax on that place was probably $1 million a year. So then the upkeep on that place is probably another $1 million. So you're talking about, that's what I'm saying, when you're just looking at it from the business situation of what the Jackson estate is saying. The Jackson estate saying, okay, we're going to pay this $10 million to get back a piece of property that's now going to have a bill that's going to cost us $2 million. And then it's like, okay, we're going to turn it in. So this is what happens. So like what I'm saying is, when Jermaine was out there telling us, oh, Santa Barbara doesn't want to let us bury Michael in the city, maybe what was really taking place is that the insider part of what was going on is that they knew that they were going to let the Neverland Ranch go. They knew that they were going to let it go, that it wasn't going to be theirs. So there was no way that Michael could be buried there, right? Because if they bury him there, then they have to reacquire it, and they have to do all of that stuff, and then they have to do all the things that are costing big money, and the estate doesn't want to spend money. That's their job, not to spend any money. So the reality of the thing is the Jackson estate abandoned Neverland Ranch. Okay, so any of Michael Jackson's actual dreams, because that's the Jackson estate, that's Michael Jackson's money. All of the money that's the Jackson estate is there because of the work that Michael Jackson has done. And what Michael Jackson did in his lifetime of his actual work that he built was this Neverland Ranch. And when Michael Jackson dies, they abandon Michael Jackson's efforts when they're in control of his money. They just say, well, screw whatever Michael Jackson actually wanted in his life. That's irrelevant, because now we're a new entity. We're into looking out for the kids, and we're into making money. So that's the reality, because that's what I'm saying, is that it's the Jackson estate. The Jackson estate bailed out. They abandoned the Neverland Ranch. So right now, like when you're hearing this thing about the Neverland Ranch got sold for $22 million, the Jackson estate got $0 of that. This is not their place anymore. That's what she was just saying when she was saying that the Jackson estate here at the end. I'll replay that part here so you can hear like what they're saying here.
$1 so it's a steal. Burkle was a business advisor to Michael Jackson in the mid-2000s before Jackson defaulted on a loan that was backed by the ranch.
Okay, Jackson defaulted on a loan that was, before Jackson defaulted on a loan that was backed by a ranch, and she said the mid-2000s, before he defaults on a loan. So it's like, well, why does he default on the loan? Oh, because he dies, It's scandalous. So he defaults on the loan, and then the Jackson estate doesn't pay it, they let it go. So the Jackson estate totally just abandoned Neverland Ranch, So it's not Michael Jackson's all this time, and the Jackson's estate, they're not like whatsoever in charge. Like they shouldn't even be able, like if they wanted to go and visit the Jacksons, if they wanted to, they shouldn't be able to do that for a long time. It's not theirs anymore. That's like what they're saying from what I understand, you know? So at the moment when Michael Jackson was buried at Forest Lawn in Glendale, at that moment, the fate of Neverland Ranch had been sealed. But we didn't know it. Like as the public, it took us until this date when it got sold and the stuff that then we see a different thing and stuff. But the reality is that it was sealed. When Michael Jackson was buried over there, then that meant that Neverland Ranch was never going to be turned into any kind of like a Graceland. And if it was never going to be turned into a Graceland, inevitably, what they did, since the Jackson, now we know exactly what happened, is the Jackson estate let the ranch go when Michael died. There was the debt there that they never paid at that time, and they let it go instantly. It's never been theirs. So instantly, and that's one of those things, it's like they let it go, you know? So that's just one of those things, like the reality. It's like they let it go when Michael died. They let it go. And really what it is the reason they didn't fight for it, they could have got the city. That's what I'm saying. When Jermaine's over there saying, "Oh well, the city won't let him bury him here," it's like they could have changed the rules. They could have fixed it. They could have done what they needed to do. But maybe they would have needed to buy other people's properties. This is the kind of thing, like I'm saying, where the Jackson estate. It's like that could lead. They're thinking that could lead to us having to get into property rights battles with other people there, where we're gonna have to buy their property. Like that's the kind of thing that you might have to do if you're getting to where you want to turn Neverland Ranch into like a museum where Michael Jackson's buried. Turn it into a tourist attraction for fans and stuff, all the stuff. They were thinking about all the money. It came down to a simple business deal to them. And in that position, the simple business deal is the business. And you see how the Jackson estate is and how they will just simply make a business decision, you know, and that's what it leads to up to where this point where this guy's now buying it. And but now since we technically know that this guy was a business associate of Michael Jackson, it's like, does he buy this place just because he knew the inside deal? Did he have the inside track and an advantage on this piece of property? And because he could get it at such a good deal because he worked with Michael Jackson and he knew what the original value was of that loan that Michael Jackson had taken out against the Neverland Ranch? It's like one of those things. Did this guy just get that property because it was such a good deal and he knew he could get it, you know? Or is he going to do something with it connected with Michael Jackson? But I would think not. I would think he's a businessman and he just picked up a place that technically it is Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. So I think that's probably like what he'll do. It's like one of those things that he'll kind of sit on it and live on it. It's a good deal or whatever, and he'll just see how times goes. But there could be a time where times change and Michael Jackson becomes a certain thing where maybe it evolves and maybe he knows that at that time that he could sell it off for a bundle of money, you know, because something changes and stuff, you know. We'll see how things go and stuff and see how the world goes and stuff. But it's just weird how the things happen. But you can tell now from the understanding of stuff is that the Jackson estate let the Neverland Ranch go at the time that Michael had died. Because when they said that Michael defaulted on a loan, you know, it's like, yeah, well, because he died. That's how he defaulted on the loan, because he had died. And then the estate, who would have been flush with cash, because that's the other thing too. So right when Michael dies, his estate would just have been flush with money, right? Super wealthy and stuff, right? And they they sell off the Beatles stuff. They let that go, and they let Neverland Ranch go, and so it just sees how the business. They just went for the money and stuff, you know. They definitely did that as far as the state goes. And they've got Michael Jackson's, because they know they've got Michael Jackson's songs, the actual value of what Michael Jackson is, his actual songs, his artwork, his actual value as an artist. They've got control of that, and that's really all they're gonna keep that intact, as the Jackson estate will always maintain that control of Michael Jackson's artwork. But it looks like any of the other stuff and stuff that other stuff like Neverland Ranch, whatever stuff, they were like, let it go. They're not worried about any of that stuff, you know. Let it go. Like the Beatles stuff, let it go. Get rid of it stuff. They let everything else go. And then they're just going to sit there with their bundles of cash. Plus they've got Michael Jackson's artwork to always sit back on, you know, their nest egg and shit, their golden egg and stuff. So, yeah, so they're doing fine and stuff. But you can see like how in the real world, it's like business things happen, and it's weird how things happen and stuff like that. But that's how this deal ends up going down. The guy had an inside track into knowing, this guy would have known what the actual price was that Michael Jackson took out that loan for, you know. That's why he can negotiate to get the right price, you know. It's kind of one of those things why maybe that's why this deal worked out for him and stuff, and it was just too good of a deal for him to pass up type of thing, you know? Okay, so talk to you later. Bye.